Like, all the focus is going to be
There
live.
it is.
It's going to be focused on these two players.
That's our lobby. 4 out of the 6 French players today in the same lobby, in the leading lobby. Tiaan, we've been shouting him out all day, day 1, all day, day 2. Now here in our winners lobby for now as well as something that's going to make Panda really happy. Guillosko, the only Spanish player holding on to his rank here in that leader lobby, together with Weiser and Skipaeus coming in from Poland and Czech Republic. So really, really interesting get together here. I know the French fans are in chat, but I do have to say they have to decide for one of them, right? They can't just cheer all of them on. That would be unfair.
I mean, the blue wall has, you know, it has its moments, right, as being the dominant French fan base. That is safe to say for the double 61 here, right? But again, I still think it's ridiculous. I guess, again, I still want to highlight the fact that Guillosko, it's just wild that after the open qualifier, it's like, okay, I'm most likely not going to get in. And then, because when the open qualifier players had to drop out, well, now he's here. He's in the top 8, currently speaking, as we are going to be going into round number 4 here. Going in with the perspective of last lobby's winner, double 61, this time around starting with an Aatrox with a sword.
I mean, the last time we were watching over Casey Double's shoulder, he had an insane opener, just finding that trainer in the first PvE stages, basically, and then also having that Silas really, really early on, just helping him until he found that Siphon in 3-1. So let's see if he can do something like that again. Heimerdinger in the shop right now. He's going to go with the second Aatrox here as well, and we're going to see what he goes with. There is a Mirage in the top right corner, and it's Warlord's Honor. What do you feel about that, leader?
So Warlords is fine. It's one of the ones where you're like, it's not priority number 1 for you to play Mirage and play Deja from that, but it's not where you are going to be hating yourself for playing it. It does mean that you can start looking into utilizing Spell Crit a lot more, because you are going to be getting a pretty significant amount of AP just through winning these winning the fights, right? So Tiaan here has an opener with a lot of pairs and an upgrade that has an upgrade here with the Ezreal as well already on the board. So I will not expect to see him level here because he's holding 2 significant pairs. He could level after he gets to see his 2 one-shot, but don't expect to see the pre-level here.
Yeah, I mean, Tiaan is an interesting one because the last time around, I felt like he was going to get knocked out, and then somehow he still managed to hold on for a lot longer than what I expected. It's Prismatic!
So you could reroll if you're Tiaan. Prismatic Luton.
You could go Shapeshifter. I mean, I know it's not a good idea to go Shapeshifter Prismatic as first augment, but he could do it.
I mean, he could also reroll and take Think Fast with 2 seconds left to go, right?
I was actually so surprised
that
it's going to be a reroll that Think Fast could be offered on a reroll. I don't know why I thought that, but I thought there was going to be a block on that augment getting rerolled. Like, that's such a major troll.
Oh, this opener could actually become pretty interesting quite faster. Now has the Jade opener here again with Electro Charge free. Jade opener is going to be very interesting. Okay, Travis. Is this Travis? This is Guillosko. Okay, it's Guillosko, not Travis. So I looked at the bottom right initially, but he's going to go for loaded dice, open fort. It's going to be a massive spike at some point.
I mean, he will be big loss streaking here. Just 2 units in, just not carrying 3 units in. But it was actually just 2, level 3, 2 units in. But he doesn't mind that. He's just going to get big gold and go from there. We will show you the augments that everyone picked. There is a scale scoring on Weiser's side as soon as we can, because of course, Prismatic as first augment is going to be so defining for the lobby. Here they are. Earth Grab back for Casey Double. I think that's Living Forge for Coco. Anything that speaks out to you? Kenobi with a new recruit.
The new recruit is kind of like a fun, right? It's not really, it's not necessarily bad, it's not necessarily worse. Like when you look at the stats, it's like the most middling, most average augment in the game to a certain extent, which just quite naturally comes to the fact that you get another unit and it's nothing else really, right? At the end of the day, it does mean that earlier levels can mean you're putting 5 units into play, stuff like that. I think that the real big one here is going to be the loaded dice, right? The high roller being picked here, coming through. We talked about it just before by Guillosko. It's going to be super interesting to follow because that could be something that all of a sudden, when he decides to make that investment, is going to send the entire lobby for a spin.
I mean, I would be very here for it. I'm also a little bit surprised by Visor going for that scale scorn, just kind of blocking in a direction is going to be very statement augment from him, as well as the Jade Soul coming out for Pasdebol, which is going to be a direction augment as well. Not as much as scale scoring, I would say, where you could still like only go with 3 Jade and slot something else on scale scoring. If you bring in a dragon, that augment is basically dead.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Having a dead augment is not something that anyone really likes here. Kenobi, that's not Kenobi, it's Pasdebol. It is Kenobi, but it's Pasdebol in the picture. So that's not what Kenobi looks like. Both are very handsome fellas. Let's give him that,
True.
right?
True.
But on the board here, we can see he is starting to invest into the Warlord's honor.
We're just checking if people are paying attention. You get an egg if you find it.
with Archangel Staff here currently being slammed on the Ezreal, it does mean that we are going to be seeing a Dacia at some point when it's found here. Could even be after the carousel with that cheeky little pre-level coming through from Kenobi right now, right? Like, that is not out of the question. Even Ezreal 1 right now is a pretty decent item holder when you have a front line in place like the one he currently has. He has a very strong front line. As long as there's nothing really going over that front line and accessing the Ezreal, that Ezreal is just going to be doing a ton of work.
Yeah, and we are looking at the components that are coming in here. No Spatula, but KC Double has, of course, one on his bench due to having that Earth's grab back. So let's see what he goes for. I would like to see his board once we come out of this carousel, just to see what our lobby winner from the last game is up to at the moment. And maybe if he's doing something with that Spatula, he's going to beeline for that sword. He's going to find it, and Visor will have to decide to go for the crit, or the Vest's going to go for the crit club here. There we are. Trainer being found once again by KC Double, still running that Aatrox frontline.
Yeah, I mean, this could look like one of those Corki angles yet again, right? You're looking at it, you have the BT and the time resolve for the Siphon already on lock. You have a Mage Bat potentially as well already also being a potential option here. It doesn't necessarily want to beeline for the... doesn't necessarily have to beeline for making it as of right now, so it doesn't add any power level. Might as well go for that static ship. As we talked about plenty of times over the course of the weekend, static ship is a fantastic item when you're trying to build an early streak.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of Gadget Expert in all of these games, and every time Gadget Expert comes out, of course, that just so much more powers up those statics, but even without it, very, very nice item to have. It reaches the backline, even though your carries aren't currently on it, and then finishing them off is an easy task for them once they get there. But 2 kill, 2 trainer, nothing too wild on the side of KC Double. Enough to keep on win streaking, though.
Enough to keep win streak indeed here as well. Also worth noting here, Guillosko, he is currently open fording, hence the 68 HP. Which honestly could be a lot worse considering we are in the prismatic lobby. Like, he's probably going to end up at like 58, 60-ish, something like that. And that could be a lot worse, considering that could be we could have had Curse Crash, we could have had more new recruits. Like, open fording in a prismatic lobby is pretty risky. Like, it's by nature, because
he's brave, you know?
Yeah, everyone else is going to be so much stronger than you are, just that nature of the fact you're not really trying to apply your augment as of right now.
Definitely. So here they are, Pasdebol and Double 61 meeting up. I do want to see what Guillosko is doing once we get to Crux, because he has to kind of stabilize at some point. He has been bleeding quite a lot, 30 HP away from the rest of the lobby roughly. And we will need to see what he's doing. But here is Skipaeus, who has a dragon on his board, and it's Siphon at 2-6, if I saw that correctly.
It is another gold collector. We had this yesterday from Skipaeus as well, I do believe, right away. He had that early collector just collecting on the Jinx, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
There was something in there, right? And
thank you, observers. I really didn't want to see that. I appreciate that. Thank you for looking out for us casters. The Siphon is just Ah, 2-6 Siphon. Why? So we are at the crux for Guillosko, who still hasn't made any use of his augment. 5 losses down the road, has been loss streaking so far. Will be able to finish off the crux. Thankfully, I was a little bit scared that there was going to be going something wrong with this, but it's all going pretty smooth, and maybe he's going to make something out of this. A lot of gold to go with. It's going to level up. And
I mean, just gonna sit for now, right? This board, even in its current state, is not really gonna be something that is gonna change the scope here. Most likely still gonna lose here. But if you can manipulate this into a good loss, I think this is gonna be okay to look out for in this specific situation here. So the big one here is gonna be like what happens on 3-2, right? Because we could be looking at a triple prismatic lobby, and if it's a triple prismatic lobby, well, you need to he needs to get this, he needs to start rolling.
I mean, he does get a significant amount of gold just due to this loss streak, and also having 50 gold at this point. He is on level 6, so in terms of level curves, he's pretty well off, I would say, but his board is just not looking like anything so far. So if this goes into another prismatic, he definitely has to go into a direction, like take it and run with it, like Visor did, who has that scale score and emblem on a Skarner right now, which, you know, sometimes you just have to slam those items.
I mean, Skarner is a very easy to replace piece of the puzzle, right? I think that's the big thing to note here. Okay, it's going to be a silver augment here. It's very good options for Guillosko to work with here. So meditation is fantastic. First aid kit is also quite good. Weak spot is very good if you're going into an AD tree. So the issue with weak spot obviously is the fact that there's currently a Sunfire Cape. It's not necessarily that big of a deal since she is going to be that widespread anti-heal amplification. So let's see, meditation 1. Okay, going to be first aid kit here as well. So is he going to be rolling or not? That's the thing here. He's going to be going for a 3-5 and stuff.
Too happy on that HP count at the moment. Like, he's just, you know, I'm losing. It's all right. I'll get back to it, even though the rest of the lobby is what feels like miles away. Now, Coco has picked up Best Friends, and it is working on his board. No single shins anywhere to be found. And Visor actually picking up another scale score.
Yeah, that's
this means he can go for 6.
Yep, and that's going to be very easy to slot the 6 in as well. That's going to be such a massive power spike for him coming through in just a second. Again, look at this now here. Coco, with this being a Draven Axe, it is going to be something that he wants to keep in play for quite a while, but I don't necessarily believe it's going to be his end state, especially when you look at the items currently slammed onto the items that are going to fall much more in line with something like a Siphon or Xiou. But getting one trigger of Draven Axe here is going to be quite okay if you don't sack too much HP for it.
So Visor, now with the double scale scorn, is definitely the one player I want to look at. So currently he has 2 Dianas on the board for the lack of a scale scorn units. I think he's only running 4 right now, if I'm not mistaken. We are seeing the augments of Blitz.gg on the left side currently, but 13 gold, we don't, not a lot to work with.
Not a lot to work with, but he also have the Olaf 2, he's on 6 Dianas, he is just chilling big right now, doesn't have to roll. He just start building up that economy up until the point of 4-1, even probably even further down the road actually to a certain extent here. He's currently in no state of rush at all.
Fair enough. I hope that is true. Right now, Casey doubles Aatrox with triple item is looking pretty menacing as he takes down the Olaf, which is very good for Visor because now that Olaf's going to get another 80 stack. But Visor able to find the win here and secure himself another win towards that win streak. Now, Guillosko, I really don't want to be mean, but there needs to be something happening. 35 HP now. He is over 30 HP away from Coco, who is next in line, currently 7th in this lobby, and I am a little bit worried, Vida.
I mean, the thing is that, right, that sometimes you can do this different ways, right, and it looks like he's going to be going for the 3-5 open forward instead of the 3-2 open forward. 3-2 open forward tends to work a lot better when there are strong free costs that can really stabilize you, which is not going to be the case for the most part here right now. with the way the meta is currently shaping up, right? And this item set also as well. So I do expect if there's no roll that he finds the Dacia on the first roll that's big. That's what he's been setting up for pretty much throughout this entirety of this game so far. There's a Dacia as well without using a dice. That is massive here. If you can get a Dacia 2 without having to utilize any of these dices. Oh, he finds a Yasuo as well alongside a Nunu too. Okay.
Wow. That is, I mean, keep in mind, Mirage is Warlords. So finding that Dacia 2, finding that Yasuo is just so big for Guillosko.
I mean, he needs to start stacking it, right? And this board is going to be ahead of the curve. But again, Pasdebol, level 7 right now. It's also towards the back end of the standings of the lobby right now, but it's not a guaranteed win for Guillosko, but it could. I mean, it's still looking quite alright. Like, and look at this, the Dacia here. Like, this is what he's been playing towards, right? I think that's worth stating here as well. He found the Yasuo with the use of the dice, I do believe as well. It's kind of hard for us to expect him to track when a dice is used. But even then, at that point in time, finding a Yasuo on level 7, dice or no dice, is still such a massive spike.
Definitely. So I'm really curious to see where this goes from here. Of course, we will also be looking at other players, but right now, Guillosko is just, he could go far from here. I was very worried if he could turn it around and when he would be using those loaded dice, but seeing them come through with that Yasuo, with the Dacias, just so good for him. And we will be going into PvE round after this one. So just another chance to grab some more items, to grab a little bit of gold and help him to kind of stabilize just a little bit more. Gonna meet Skipaeus here. Skipaeus, of course, was the guy that found the siphon so early on, has the gold collector on the siphon. So let's see how he does. He's just executing targets left and right, but the Dacia is right onto him. Maybe that will be enough to take out that siphon as she shoots off into the Elise. The Yasuo is finishing everything off. That will be another win for Guillosko.
Yeah, at every side of the road right now, as well as when you have the dragon on the board, these wins are going to be quite big. They are going to be putting the hurt into the opposition here. Now, Double, we were talking about how he had a pretty strong opener. Well, he's currently down in 7th place here. Needs to, I mean, to be fair, at least a positive note for Double is that Coco is currently holding hands with him in terms of HP. And as long as those two kind of follow each other all around, that's going to be the case. Again, looking at the economy by BlitzGG here, Tiaan and Kenobi both above 50 gold. They haven't pushed to level 7 yet. Skipaeus is level 7, but he's also well above 50 gold. So he has a lot of economy to work with here. That's going to be interesting to see how he's going to turn that into an advantage.
I'm actually surprised. The last time we saw Visor, his gold wasn't looking too hot. He is getting back some of the gold here due to the PvE round. Has managed to get to 50. So from here on out, we'll probably... Oh! Dacia 2 and Nunu 3.
I mean, it's the power of the dice. It's the power of the dice, right? So this is both of the dice used here, which is good. This is good for Guillosko, obviously now, and it's going to put the hurt into the entirety of the lobby now. Again, Nunu 3 is such a menace. It's so hard to kill. Like it's
loaded dice coming in clutch, man. Wow,
really it's so good when it works, because there are also situations where it just doesn't work, and then it's like, oh well, I'm done a prismatic.
True. I'm gonna ask Guillosko for training, for coaching, how to use those dice right. They just never seem to work for me, but for him, that was exactly what he was looking for. And just look at that big bear eating everyone up in his melee range. Dacia has free reign to shoot something off into these assassins, and Visor is going to get a big loss here. Has used all of his gold to go to 7 and then also roll down. So for him, this was supposed to be a power spike moment, and he still lost. Not a good sign.
No, again, also one of the reasons why Skipaeus did have that big economy lead was because of the fact that he does have a gold collector, which is now also being offered to Double 61 here. I do believe that's not going to be the choice here. He doesn't have the HP to work with. Obsidian Cleaver and Randium Sanctum is not necessarily perfect, but Obsidian Cleaver tends to be quite good on Corki. Just gonna go for the Randoms instead here. Just get those resistances pumping as well. So has a lot of these transitions ready to go, just needs to find something. So like he finds the Silas is going to be massive. He's going to allow him to make the mage bet on a unit he wants to have on the board here. Get the mage in play, get the Silas to be more tanky. If that's what he's going for here right now, he's looking for a way to utilize Randuin's first and then making the items afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. So being able to find that Silas, being able to find that Lulu, it's going to be a mage emblem onto the Jinx. The Sona is waiting in the backline to get slotted in. She's just like, put me in, coach. I got this. And we have seen what a mage spat Sona can do. So definitely a very, very strong perspective for KC Double here, as the lobby is kind of tearing further and further away from each other. Guillosko, who was extremely far off everyone else, is sprinting to diminish that distance. 35 HP now. Pasdebol is only 11 away with 46, so definitely not a big distance anymore. However, Tiaan and Skipaeus are looking very healthy up there with over 70.
They are. I'm kind of interested to see what's going to happen here. Because we do see he did get a Mirage Crest as well. I mean, he's going to be able to start building off that Hecarim as well, making it more tank with the HP, get the more AP going, but not slamming the JG there. I see a lot of players really prioritizing getting JG, even going over a second Archangels when it is this when it is going to be the Warlord's Honor, because it's just that much, like you get so much extra AP for free regardless, so you might as well start letting those abilities crit.
Yeah, I mean, I am so impressed with Guillosko just having that Nunu 3. Look at him, nom nom nom, everything in his path is gone. Also that Yasuo finishing off Tiaan's remaining Anivia. He's on 7 Jade, so that is probably not the best situation to see that enemy Yasuo coming in here, but he still has a lot to work with.
That is going to be a Zoe here. That could be pretty big for double 61 if it is still going to be open once it goes around. Guillosko is going to beeline for it, yes. I do believe we're going to see... Okay, double is not going to be going for the Zoe here, even though he does have the mage spat. Or is he going to be doing it? He needs to start making a decision now. Okay, at the end of the day, despite... It took some decision making. But it turns out Zoe from Carousel is quite good. The issue is, again, that he does need to change around quite a few fair things here, because he is, as we know, still stuck in level 7, quite deep in the gold count, because he has been rolling a lot.
So we are currently on Skipaeus' board, who's 1 copy away from that Siphon too, which will give him so much further strength. And it's actually interesting, I keep asking for this Whisper comp to do something. In her stats, we saw that the Whisper comp with Siphon as main carry hasn't actually gotten a first place at any of the lobbies of yesterday, but maybe that can change today. Tiaan being able to find that Anivia 3, Guillosko now also going to level 8. Players are hitting upgrades left and right. Pasdebol coming in with the Soraka too. Just so much being hit here. The Soraka on Skipaeus' side is going to get annihilated by Visor's assassins. But can that Siphon do something for him here? He's going to charge in just a little bit, but they're already being outnumbered. Let's see how it goes. The Elise is still there trying to get some executes and resets off as well. But the Siphon is dropping and dropping. Can she do it? Doesn't look like it. Skipaeus going to take a loss here.
Skipaeus will take a loss, but again, he's still relatively healthy. He's top of the lobby at 65. And with that loss to Kenobi, he is still relatively clear right now. That's the big one to follow. And then we got fans and Nico too here. Again, big upgrade to the board state. Where, again, this getting that extra amount of CC, that durability in there is just going to buy us so much more time for the Siphon, so much more time for the Elise that he's currently working towards here now. Pasdebol, he's trying to find anything that he can upgrade with here right now. Hasn't found a replacement copy of that Tristana, which I think is going to be the big one for him right now, because he wants to get these items onto the Xiaoyu, at least want to get the time to solve over there, but that's not going to be the case as of right now. Here we're going to be seeing Visor's Assassins yet again take on the board we're playing.
Yeah, it's like they're following us around, so let's see how this one goes. We have been seeing some Jade Quirky flex comms actually in yesterday and the day before that. but I don't think this is necessarily what we're going for. Pasdebol has a Corki on the bench, but for now his comp is going to be strong enough to deal with whatever Visor has to offer here as he finds a win. KC Double is now down here, which is a surprise. 32 HP on him as he comes to the bottom of the lobby.
Yeah, and Tiaan here is just going to be struggling against this Elise, even though he does have that Anivia free. Elise in these situations in the overtime is just such a prominent one. Okay, there's a triple complete item.
Not going to take it.
No, but sometimes you just need to take a look at that for a second, be like, can I use this? Can I not use this? You know, getting 6 components is just big in of itself. Rage Blade for the Elise, I mean, already has a pretty high amount of base attack speed, but it's going to be going for this one in specific right now. So let's see what that's going to end up with here. We see Vice now on a roll down here, trying to find that final copy of Diana. Now Olaf here is getting closer and closer. Needs a couple more of these here. Can start selling off the ones he's holding. That's Diana, 3 rounds. So that's a big upgrade right now. Can just start selling on this for a second. One would believe, at least.
Yeah, that should be a big upgrade. Hopefully can also manage to find that Olaf 3. Still has a little bit of HP to work with, but KC Double, like I said, is also down there. Guillosko, Coco, KC Double and Pasdebol are all in the realms of each other when it comes to HP. And here's the board that we're looking at. It is the Mage Spatula. There is a Siphon with really good items, I would think, but it seems like the board is not doing too well.
The board is not doing too well, right? But it's a Siphon 1, that's a big thing right now, right? We do see people are starting to really hit those massive spikes here, and the Siphon 1 is just the big kicker. Again, going up against a board like this one coming through right now from Skipaeus, you are going to struggle a bit as well. He's been stuck at that level 7 mark for so long as well, because he's been spending so much gold trying to get his upgrades in here. You can see now the Siphon battles in the background here is also going to have a massive impact.
Yeah, Skipaeus was able to find that Rage Blade on his Elise, which is just going to make her so much faster towards the end of the game as she ramps up, and we can see that damage coming through, even though it's just an Elise too. He is looking for an upgrade. There was one on his bench as we just saw him fight here, and KC Double now really needs to do something about this, needs to find a Siphon, needs to go anywhere, but doesn't have any gold to work with, really.
Yeah, but the big thing here is worth noting here is that Coco is also in 7th place right now, and if they go 8th and 7th, that's a massive boon for the rest of the lobby. They were 5 points clear coming into this round here, and if they end up going and only taking more than 2 points, well, someone like Tiaan and the other players in and around that third and 4th place there are going to be looking at that and being like, this is my chance to make it, to potentially take the title. This could be a massively deciding game.
Yeah, it's going to turn everything on our leaderboard upside down. If our currently point leaders go out 7th and 8th here, it's just going to be so impactful. But let's see if that really happens. KC Double's board is fighting as much as it can. The Xiaoyu is on to the Siphon. The Siphon can maybe charge one more time, but it will be enough. It's a Heimerdinger trying to defend anything here, and KC Double now down to 2 HP. Kenobi also falling him down there, 15 HP remaining, but Coco at least able to find a win.
Yeah, again, currently speaking, the players that were exactly 5 points behind going into this lobby were Tiaan, Visor, and Guillosko, right? Those 3 players right now are loving life. If this pattern continues, they are just going to be loving life right now here.
I mean, they're all loving life. They can spend their day playing TFT, right? That's what we all love. So hopefully they are enjoying that as much as we are. We're going to go in one more PvP round, and for KC Double, it's just hoping that he can make it out of this. Visor, Coco, and Pasdebol are targets that he could be seeing, and it's going to be Coco, the player that made 1st place with him. Mirror matching a little bit, both of them having only a Siphon 1 and a Mage Spatula. So let's see how this goes. Not ideal items on either side. That Static's trying to do something for KC Double as the Siphons are just working away. The enemy Sona nearly gets taken out but stays alive, and now KC Sona has been done for. It's only a Siphon remaining, and that will probably not be enough. He's going to try and take out some of these units here, but the other Siphon will charge and finish, and that is 8th place for KC followed by Kenobi.
Yeah, but that's a big fight here as well, right? Because now this means that Coco is going to be guaranteed a 2-point buffer down to double 61. It also means that the players that we're talking about, we're really looking at making that top performance here, they are now going to be brought back down just a little bit, because again, they will not be able to, like, it's not going to be 1 and 2 points distributed here at least. So that is going to be something to look out for. Skipaeus picks up that Yasuo. That's going to be a massive pickup, I do believe, for his board state. Guillosko picking up that RFC is also not going to be a horrible thing to look out for.
Yeah, we are on...
Turn, right? Yeah, just
on Skip... Sorry?
This is probably just his next turn. So like the next unit he plays here is probably just going to be this Yasuo.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, that's what I would hope for him. Definitely a unit that has seen a lot of love on any board that you can basically get it in. You get the Yasuo in. It's just so good to have. But let's see how he does. He is still thinking about going for that Elise 3, and Skipaeus has been playing some Whispers in the past. They hasn't always turned out great, so maybe this time it is the turning point. Coco with 2 Silent Shrouds coming in hot on everything that Skipaeus' board has to offer. The Nico ult coming in as well. The Zoe and the Zona in the backline are untouched. They're able to cast, and they will cast. Here comes some ults from both of them, just piling on to the enemy board, and it looks like it could be enough. There's still an Elise, and there's still a Siphon. Siphon isn't anymore, and neither is the Elise, both getting taken out, and the Coco lives for another day.
And with the Pasdebol looking like he's fading here at the 9 HP mark right now, right? Coco is just building up his lead further and further and further, because he's looking in a pretty good spot, all things considered right now. Also, Pasdebol here, yes, this Soraka will provide some incredibly strong heals, but he's still lacking that Shio U2. That's going to be the big carry from damage-wise.
Definitely, and similar to what we've seen from KC he just doesn't have the gold to go anywhere. He can't roll for it. He just has to hope that he can survive this. Is going to meet Skipaeus, whose board we have just seen in action. Silent Shroud again coming in left and right, just entirely hitting that Jade cluster, and the Siphon is on to them. The Soraka in the background is trying to do as much as possible. Siphon is charging through it, taking out the Shio U1, and that is not looking good for Pasdebol. The Elise, of course, on the left side of the screen, just trying to chomp off at these units, but the Soraka is charging up. The Elise trying to get an execute out of this, but will it do something? Here she comes. Yeah, it will. It's going to take out the Soraka onto the Nomzi, and Pasdebol takes another loss.
Yeah, but Coco also took a loss here, right? So right now it's Pasdebol 3 HP. Coco at 4 HP. Once we do get our standings on the right side again, gets a JG here. That is probably not what you want to see.
Nomzi damage dealt.
Yeah, Nomzi is just insane. Nomzi is just like, Nomzi right now is circling these triple trainer setups, right? Because the double damage amplification coming through from that lovely, lovely frog right there. But again, Tiaan right now at 19 HP, one incredibly big loss here, and he will also be looking towards that elimination part of the game right now. So there is just so many things still riding on this game.
Yeah, I mean, Pasdebol now having a little bit of gold to go somewhere with, finds the Shio U2. This is going to be so big for him. Also found that jeweled gauntlet, which is probably going to go onto the Heimerdinger if I had to ask. Sadly, you can't itemize Nomzi anymore. That would be really, really fun. Was a thing on the pre-alpha. Unfortunately, they found it was too strong, so they didn't go anywhere with it. But Visor being able to go for 6 Assassin, 6 Scalescorn, that's definitely a very scary comp to face off against. Once he finds an upgrade for that Pike, oof, I'm not sure what anyone else is going to do. That Mage Zona is targeted by two of these assassins, just completely getting stomped. But the Siphon is doing the work. Like Coco is trying to hold on here. Everybody is fighting against that Olaf. Olaf stuck on the Nomsy, will get another execute off, but the charge is coming in and Visor takes a loss.
Yeah, and Pasdebol versus Tiaan right now. This is a big one as well. This Anivia free here in the backline doing as much as he can possibly, but it's not going to be enough. And so talking about one big fight is going to be spelling elimination, and that is going to be the case here for Tiaan, who's going to be taking a 6th here in an incredibly tense lobby. As Skipaeus does find that Yasuo too. Guillosko also found Yasuo too. Before I was like looking at the assassin board from Visor, right, and I was looking at it because he didn't get the. Didn't want to get the Seek's Herald onto the Olaf, right? Again, it's a little bit of less attack speed. You kind of sometimes you want to split those two up, right? But again, maybe that little bit of extra attack speed would have made the difference at the end of the day there. Again, also, I think the one that really made the difference was the Zoe just pulling out the KL ulti onto the Sona. That was just MLG levels from the Zoe. That was insane.
Yeah. But there is a Yasuo too that I'm seeing here, and I think it's on the side of Guillosko. He has found that upgrade, Frozen Heart as well, slowing everything in his path. Deja in the backline just firing off, trying to take out that Soraka carry that we are seeing, and that Nunu 3 is on to her. Will try to eat her up. We'll go for Nomsy first, but Deja is firing and firing and firing, and she's going to take it out, which will be the end of Pasdebol's run in this lobby. Now we're down to our top 4.
And look, Coco
making it. I would have not thought that he would make it.
I mean, the board you look at it in a vacuum is insanely strong, right? Like, it's a very good board. The Nomsy is just continues to scaling up here, doing a ton of work. The Sona with the Mana Sane just provides that continuous CC with that Mage Cap. The Sword with the insane utilities and then the damage coming through from this from this insane Siphon, right? Like, there's so many things around him. When you can work around that Shroud as well, a double Shroud here is going to be insane. Obviously, they don't stack like that, but again, just getting everything into place correctly is going to be massive.
Definitely, and Skipaeus and Coco are fighting it off. There is a Soraka in the background, but she's getting targeted by that Sona, however, can get her cast off as everything's just piling onto that Soraka, making sure she doesn't live. But the Zoe will ult one more time before getting taken out here. The Yasuo will finish anything else off that's in his path. That will also be the end for Coco and Visor, as Skipaeus and Guillosko make for the final 2.
They do here, and again, Guillosko, we talked about like how he was, open falling for the 3-5 roll down. Then he hits on his 3-5 roll down, stabilizes with the loaded dice from the high roller Augment. Has just been winning out ever since. And now, like, when you look at this board, it's incredible, right? Like, you look at this board, it's just insane how strong it is. Yes, Skipaeus' board might also be very, very, very incredibly strong, but
if he finds that remaining Elise, oof.
Yeah, but even then, you look at Guillosko, he's just chilling. He's level 9, 44 gold, can make any upgrade he wants to this board, really. Could start rolling for something like a Hecarim free, even like Deja free is an option. He's just making econ in a 1v1.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. 8 Mirage, it is Warlords, so they're going to get a lot of damage out of this. The Elise coming in on the left side, Siphon charging through, trying to take out the Yasuo, getting CC'd, just entirely CC'd. That Siphon has gone AFK for a second, but now charging onto the Deja, taking a big bite out of her. Will it be enough to get her down, though? I'm not sure. One more charge coming in through, but it's not going to come. The Elise will try to finish off the Nunu. Can she do it? Yes, she can. Skipaeus dethroning Guillosko here.
Yeah, but it's also worth noting when you look at it, Guillosko can make potential additions to his board if he wants to. He can drop down to one less Mirage increment, right? I do believe he can go for different options here as well. Should have another life to work with. Options here are obviously aplenty, and when it comes to doing this, also like a few positioning things that probably could be optimized at the end of the day as well. The Shroud stuff on the side of Skipaeus could go onto the Deja, for example, as well most of the time, because now it's time to swap the sides over. Let's see if that makes a difference.
Let's see if it does. So here we are, Silent Shroud from the backline of Skipaeus coming in, not really hitting that Deja or the Bard. The Bard will be ulting into the cluster here, stunning everything in his path. Yasuo has found a feast, it's just ulting through everything. Hasakiing left and right and center, Deja finishing off the rest of it. The Elise still fighting strong though, trying to make the most out of it. In the backline is a Soraka, but she will not keep this Elise alive as Guillosko finds a win, and we go to the treasure crab.
We do go into the Herald here, we do indeed, right? And it's worth noting here as well, the big difference that I saw between those two fights, right, was the fact that this time around the Deja did not end up getting hurt midway through the fight, setting it up for the Siphon to just have it on an island. That was one of the big things about the previous fight that eventually ended up going wrong here. If the Siphon is not on an island with the Deja can just do her thing for a longer time, and that's going to be the most important thing to note here. Giant Slayer is also a pretty interesting one to note, right? Because the board state currently coming out of Skipaeus is pretty tanky, so just having that on an additional unit is going to be helping that damage application just a little bit.
Finds upgrades here. Guillosko is rolling. So is Skipaeus. He is looking for that Elise. Also has some Hecarim copies on the bench. Doesn't seem as if he wants to go further than that. Doesn't want to sell anything off to try and find more upgrades. As Guillosko does a full rundown trying to get that Hecarim to Hecarim 3 and is going to slam that Giant Slayer on to the Yasuo.
Yeah, like I'm going to see here, right, like he's just blocking those Hecarims out of the pool. There's just to guarantee the fact that it's not going to be hit by Guillosko here, now setting up for this fight in stage 7. This could be the deciding fight.
Yes, so the Elise in the background getting Bard ulted is definitely a big factor here. The Siphon on the right side trying to get through, but the Deja is onto the Elise. The Threshook that you just spoke about coming in hot onto the Deja here, but it won't do enough. The Soraka trying to keep the Siphon alive, but Siphon and Elise still fighting. The Soraka will do it, will keep her alive, and Guillosko taking another loss here. It is a 1v1. They're taking blows at each other with every turn, and still no Elise for Skipaeus to be found, and no Hecarim on the side of Guillosko.
Now, again, it's kind of what can happen at the end of the day. It does have one Hecarim more, I suppose, at least, but this is going to be the final fight of the game. Most likely, unless it's going to be a good loss for Skipaeus, right? That's the thing that's worth noting here, is that if Skipaeus takes, say, like a 1-unit loss, he's probably still alive, just ever so slightly. But again, there's going to be that big positioning game again here. It's going to be the big kicker for how this fight is going to pan out.
There it is, the Shroud coming in onto the front line there, trying to take out what is there, but the Yasuos are onto it, both of them going left and right, trying to get some hits in. Deja in the backline firing off against that Siphon. She is onto him, but so is he. He is biting off at her and trying to take her down. Siphon going down, however. This will be a win for Guillosko and enough to finish off Skipaeus -1 HP here. Guillosko takes game number 4.
It does indeed, right? Again, we're talking about those minor optimizations at the end of the game there. The RFC being moved over to the Bard, then cornering the Bard, guaranteeing that the Threshook would